Hi, these are the notes for February 21st. We're going to be solving quadratic equations. Today we're going to be solving them by factoring. So if I've got 4 times 0, the answer to that is 0. And then 0 times 4 is also 0. So if I have 4 times something, that something, which we're calling A here, it has to be 0. So if we multiply two numbers together, the product of these two numbers is equal to 0. Then we know that at least one of those two numbers has to be 0. So this is how we would write that in math speak. If A times B is equal to 0, then either A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0. And we're going to use this product property when we're solving quadratics. So we just got finished factoring, and we factored them into two different factors. So if I have two factors equal to 0, then either the first one's equal to 0 or the second one's equal to 0. So that's what we're doing today. Product property is used to solve an equation when one side is 0 and the other side is a product of polynomial factors. In other words, the factors of our polynomial that we just did. The solutions of such an equation are also called, shockingly, zeros. You'll also see them called roots. And tomorrow you're going to see them called x-intercepts. But today we're going to call them zeros because of what we are doing. All right, the steps for this process are written here. First, you want to write the equation so that it's equal to 0. So if you look at example number 1, it's already set equal to 0. I don't need to do that step. Step 2 says factor the equation completely. Again, looking at number 1, this guy is already factored. Anytime you see these parentheses, that means we're already in factored form. So we don't have to do step 2. And then step 3, that's where we're at right now. Set each factor equal to 0 and solve for the variable. So here's factor 1. X plus 3 has to be equal to 0. And then x plus 4, factor 2 has to be equal to 0. So either this guy is 0, this guy is 0, or they're both going to be 0. That's from that zero product principle. All right, so now I've got two linear equations. We're back to first semester. We're going to solve this guy for x, which means we want to get x by itself. So if I have a positive 3, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Over here, the 3's cancel, and I just have x. On the other side, I've got 0 minus 3. That's negative 3. That's one of my zeros, one of my solutions. For my other linear equation, I've got x plus 4. I'm going to undo that by subtracting 4. X is equal to negative 4. That's my other 0. All right, number 2. Well, let's go back to our steps. Write the equation so that it's equal to 0. This guy is not equal to 0, so I need to move this 25 to the other side so that I get 0 over here. I'm going to add 25 to both sides. So I get x squared plus 10x plus 25 is equal to 0. That was step 1. Step 2 says factor the equation completely. So here's my x. On top I've got 25x squared. Bottom is 10x. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 25, add up to 10. That would be 5x and 5x. Taking my factor box. First term, first box. Last term, last box. Other two factors we just found are in my middle boxes. So the GCF of the first row, between x squared and 5x, they have x in common. X times x gives me x squared. X times 5 would give me 5x. X times another 5 would give me this 5x. And 5 times 5 is 25, so that's factored correctly. So this factors out as x plus 5 times x plus 5. And now we want to set both of these factors equal to 0. So x plus 5 equals 0, or x plus 5 equals 0. Since these factors are the same factors, you don't have to do it twice. You can do it just once. I'm going to do it just once over here where I've got room. So I want to get x by itself. I'm going to move the 5 over by subtracting it, and x is equal to negative 5. All right, number 3. I've got 9x squared plus x. It is set equal to 0, so I don't need to do that part. I'm going to look at these two guys, and I'm going to look for a GCF. My GCF is going to be x. They both have x in common. What times x will give me that 9x squared? That would be 9x, because 9x times x is 9x squared. What times x gives me x? That's 1. Now I've got one factor of x. The other factor is 9x plus 1. So either x equals 0 or 9x plus 1 equals 0. So for our first linear equation, it's already solved for us. There's nothing to do with it. That's 1, 0, or one solution. My second solution, this is a two-step linear equation. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of that positive 1. I'm going to subtract 1 off. I've got 9x is equal to negative 1. And then I've got 9 times x, the opposite is division. I'm going to subtract it off. So x is equal to negative 1/9. That's my second solution to that equation. All right, number 4. First step, is it set equal to 0? It is. Second step, we need to factor this guy completely. So here's my x. I've got first term times last term. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24 x squared. Middle term goes in the bottom, negative 5. Since we're negative on the top, one's going to be negative, one's going to be positive because we're subtracting. So two numbers that multiply to 24, subtract to 5. If you don't know them, start with 1 times 24. That subtracts to 23. 2 times 12. 12 minus 2 would be 10. 3 times 8. 8 minus 3. That's my 5 that I'm looking for. Since 5 is negative, I want my bigger factor to be negative. So negative 8x, positive 3x. Then we make our box. Our first term goes in the first box, last term in the last box. The two factors we just found go in the middle boxes. Once you have your box set up, we're going to look at the first row. So these two guys, what do they have in common? 3 goes into 6, so they both have a 3 in common. And they both have an x. To figure out what goes here, what times 3 gives you 6? That would be 2. What times x gives you x squared? That's x. For the next column, what times 3x gives you 3x? That's just 1. And then for down here, what times 2 would give you negative 8? That's negative 4, and we already have our x. So does negative 4 times 1 give me negative 4? It sure does. So this guy in factored form becomes 2x plus 1 times 3x minus 4. That's equal to 0. So now I've factored it completely. We're going to split these guys up to 2x plus 1 equals 0. 3x minus 4 equals 0. Now we're going to subtract 1 from both sides over here. I get 2x is equal to negative 1. And then I need to divide by 2. And so x is equal to negative 1/2. That's 1, 0. For my other one, my first step is to get rid of that 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. I get 3x is equal to 4. And then divide by 3, x is equal to 4/3. Those are my two answers for number 4. So we can get 5n. So for number 5, it's set equal to 0. We need to factor it. The top of my x, I've got 8 times x squared. Bottom of my x, I've got negative 6x. We are adding negative numbers, so I need 2 negative numbers. 2 numbers that multiply to 8 add up to 6. That would be 4 and 2. Setting up the box, I've got x squared and 8 and my 2 factors in the other 2 boxes. What's common between x squared and 2x? That's just x. X times x gives me x squared. X times negative 2 gives me negative 2x. X times negative 4 gives me negative 4x. And negative 4 times 2 gives me the positive 8. So this guy factors out as x minus 2, x minus 4 equals 0. Once I factored it, I need to split them both up and set them both equal to 0. And then I'm going to solve those 2 equations. So over here, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And finding an x is equal to 2,